This is Grammy Hart, and I have to tell you, this book is really a scary book. So if you don't want to read a scary book, watch a different book. So this is Return to Oz, Escape from the Witch's Castle. It's a little golden book, and it's from 1985 that this was written. In a famous story called The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy Gale had many wonderful adventures in the magical land of Oz. The story in this book is about Dorothy returning to Oz with her friends Billina, the talking hen, and Tik-Tok, the mechanical soldier. Dorothy, Billina, and Tik-Tok were on their way through Oz, searching everywhere for their friend the Scarecrow. They had already been to the Emerald City, and they had found not a clue. Now they came to a huge, dark castle. Maybe the person who lives here will know where the Scarecrow is, Dorothy said. She and her friends went inside. The castle was the home of a terrible witch named Princess Mombi. Princess Mombi collected the heads of beautiful young ladies, and she always liked to wear one or another instead of her own ugly head. She kept the heads in cabinets all around her room. Mombi was glad to meet Dorothy. Someday, she said, drawing close, you will have a very nice head. I must add it to my collection. She pounced on Dorothy and started to drag her from the room. Tik-Tok, help me, Dorothy screamed. Tik-Tok came toward the princess, his arm raised to strike her. Suddenly, zzz, he stopped in his tracks. What's wrong? Dorothy cried. His motor has run down, Tik-Tok said. I need to be wound up. The wicked princess laughed. Dorothy winced as Mombi's tight grip tightened. Blech. My motor has run down, Tik-Tok said. I need to be wound up. The wicked princess laughed. Dorothy winced as Mombi's grip tightened around her waist. You let her go, Billina squawked, flying at Princess's face. Run, Dorothy, run! Dorothy rushed for the door. You won't escape from me, Mombi declared. In an instant, an iron gate clanged shut, barring Dorothy's way. I'll have you fried for breakfast, Mombi threatened, shaking Billina. Dorothy certainly didn't like the idea of Mombi cooking her friend. Take that, she yelled, kicking Mombi in the shin. Ouch! The princess howled. I've had enough of you now, she said, grabbing Dorothy once again. I'm going to lock you in the tower until your head is just right, and then I'm going to take it. What will you do with Tik-Tok? Dorothy asked as she and Billina were pulled from the room. He'll make a very nice new statue for my palace. The cruel princess chuckled. Don't you think so? Oh, Dorothy, Billina sighed when they were locked in the tower. I don't like Oz very much. I wish I were back in Kansas. Dorothy felt a shiver of fear. I wonder if we will ever get out of here, she said. Mom, is that you? A voice asked. Dorothy jumped. There was someone else in the room. She glanced around, but all she saw was a jack-o'-lantern and some sticks and old clothes lying in a heap against the wall. Dorothy looked down at the pumpkin and asked, Did you say something? Are you my mom? The pumpkin asked. No, said Dorothy. I'm Dorothy Gale. Who are you? I'm Jack Pumpkinhead, he said. I thought you were my mom. Would you help put me back together again anyway? Where did you come from? Dorothy asked as she knelt down to help Jack. My mom made me to scare Mombi, Jack explained. When she first saw me, Mombi was scared. Then she wanted to destroy me, but instead she decided to test the powder of life she had just bought. She sprinkled it on me, and here I am. I sure wish I could find my mom, though. Jack's story gave Dorothy an idea. Does Mombi have any more powder of life? She asked. If she does, Jack said, it must be downstairs in her room. Good, Dorothy said. She whispered her idea to Jack and Billina. Jack used his thin arms and long fingers to open the locked door. Soon he and Dorothy were sneaking out of the tower. First, we have to rescue Tik-Tok, Dorothy whispered. I'll wind him up, then you take him upstairs while I try to get the powder of life. Dorothy tiptoed into Mombi's room. The princess always went to bed without a head. Around her wrist, Mombi wore the key to her special cabinet. Dorothy had to take the key without waking the princess. Dorothy held her breath and pulled at the key. Suddenly, Mombi rolled over. The key was off. Dorothy raced for the cabinet. Dorothy reached inside for the powder of life. Slowly, slowly. Then crash! She had knocked over one of the other boxes. The hideous head inside the cabinet woke up and started wailing her name. Dorothy Gale! Dorothy Gale! The other heads joined in. Dorothy grabbed the powder of life and ran from the room. The heads had awakened Mombi. She stood in her bedroom, her arms outstretched to stop Dorothy, but without her head, the princess could not see. Dorothy brushed past her and out the door. Upstairs, Billina, Tik-Tok, and Jack were almost finished with the strange thing they had been building. Its body was 2 sofas tied together. Its head was the Gump, a horned animal that had hung on the wall. Its tail was a broom. Tied to its sides were leaves from a palm tree. Dorothy burst into the room. There was not a moment to lose from downstairs. They heard voices getting louder. Mombi was coming. Quick, said Jack, the powder. Read the magic words on the box, said Billina. Hurry, said Tik-Tok. Weog, tiog, beog. Dorothy read slowly, sprinkling the powder over the thing. Suddenly, the Gump's eyes opened. The palm leaves began to move up and down like twigs. It was alive. Quick, everyone, climb aboard. Dorothy called. The Gump lifted off the floor and headed for the open window. Then they were outside. They had escaped. I hope we get back to Kansas, said Billina. I hope we find my mom, sighed Jack. I hope we find the Scarecrow, said Dorothy, rubbing her eyes. But right now, I'm just happy to be free of that awful Mombi. It was late, and it had been a busy day. As she and her friends flew off into the night sky, Dorothy stretched out on a sofa and said, "Good night."